Top racing pigeon tips. 1. Need a very inexpensive salt/mineral supplement? Go to a saltwater aquarium store and purchase 5 pounds of instant ocean or similar saltwater fish salt. This salt is loaded with endless trace minerals. Use just a pinch at a time or change regularly because salt will attract moisture. 2. Buy a hygrometer, Home Depot, with a high-low setting. The hygrometer measures humidity. Place the hygrometer in the racing loft and adjust ventilation to maintain humidity below 70%. By monitoring the humidity, you will learn to always keep it lower than 70%. Pigeons have a big drop in form with humidity over 70%. My widowhood loft can be kept at 68% humidity when it is 100% humidity outside. My hygrometer monitors temperature and high-low temperature also. 3. It is easy to tell if you are caring for your breeders correctly. My top breeders are raising their 6th and 7th round of young, feeding, driving, molting their bodies etc. and still act and handle like they did before breeding season. The cocks are highly active and are snapping their wings with that pop-pop sound bouncing in and out of the flight pens. I attribute this health and condition at the end of breeding season not only to great pigeons but great care. Every mineral supplement is always available to the breeding pigeons. We breed right though the high heat and humidity of the summer with no ill effect. High-quality pigeons combined with outstanding care should not show stress at the end of the breeding season. It is amazing to see yearling breeders mature and grow flawlessly while the entire time they are raising young. We bred until November and raised 9 rounds from some of our stock pigeons with no detrimental effects. 4. Pigeon eggs once laid can be stored for several days and maybe even over a week or more at room temperature before the incubation process begins. You must place the egg on its side and make 3 or 4 half turns each day until you put the egg under a foster parent. If the incubation process has begun, you cannot store the egg. If the egg is freshly laid, you can keep the egg until you have a foster pair ready. I am doing some experiments now on how long a fertile egg can be kept and how much care the egg needs. I had an egg hatch that I kept on the shelf in the breeding loft for 10 days. I turned the egg only once a day and the temperature ranged from 45 degrees as a low to about 65 as a high. I will keep experimenting. 5. It is much better to wean babies a little younger than a little older. The younger babies tend to learn to eat faster, and this is easier on the parents, if they are not pumping babies extra days. At weaning, I vaccinate for PMV and dip their beaks in the water. The next day, if they are not eating, I will pump them up with a pellet soup from a large tip syringe. I do not want the babies to stress, so I make sure they are not hungry. By day 2 after weaning, they are always eating and drinking well. Feel free to dip beaks in the water to introduce the water. Some of the most determined and successful pigeons do not like change, and this counts for babies a weaning. Do not think that because a baby does not want to eat or drink immediately after weaning that this baby is not a good one. The great pigeons do not like change and are more apt to sulk and be affected by change. This counts for babies also. 6. Need to settle a strong flying pigeon. Buy some super hold hair gel. Spread the gel along the last 6 primary flights of each wing. Let dry. Flights will look like quills. Pigeon will fly very little. Maybe from floor to perch. Let the pigeon get used to the new wings before allowing the pigeon outside. After a week of walking around the loft and going in and out, rinse off the gel with water. Wings will be as good as new. 7. Pigeons desire peanuts more than any other feed. Once a pigeon gets used to eating peanuts, they will do about anything for peanuts. I like to call peanuts pigeon heroin because they are so addicting. Want your pigeons to trap fast? Place a peanut on every nest box after a toss or race. Want your pigeons to land on the scanner pads upon returning from a race? Place a few peanuts on the pads after every toss of race. A few peanuts go a long way, so keep the treats to a minimum. 8. Occasionally we find a super breeding pair. We then try to monopolize the young produced from the pair by swapping eggs to foster parents. Maybe the racing results are not what we expected from the fostered out babies. Are we missing something? Could there be a link between the immunity/antibodies passed from the parent's pigeon milk to the baby, to performance? We know pigeon antibodies are passed to the young through milk and through the egg. We always talk about the quality of this milk but never the quality and diversity of the antibodies in this milk. Genetics plays a big factor in strong immune system. Exposure to pathogens, many relatively harmless, plays a big factor in the development of a strong immune system. Vaccines also play a major role in the strengthening of the immune system and increasing the immune response to pathogens. Is there something else? I have a theory that old pigeons have been exposed to many pathogens in their lifetime. What they lack in the quality of their milk may be enhanced by the quality and diversity of antibodies in this milk. Now to my first thought, consider that champion breeders may be passing something other than genetics to their young. 9. When selecting breeders, you can bring in cocks that are not physically perfect if the pedigree and bloodline is outstanding. You must always pair these less than perfect cocks to perfect in every way breeding hen. Many of the babies will have the physique of the mother along with half the genetics of the sire. Mating physically perfect cocks onto less than perfect hens usually lead to less than perfect babies. The great lofts have great hens. The super hens will compensate for many flaws in the cocks. 10. Dust in a pigeon loft may be detrimental to both the pigeons and the owner. The pigeon dust is composed primarily of bloom, which is a powdered feather lubricant that prevents the wear from the feathers rubbing together. An easy way to remove dust from the loft is to thoroughly clean and then use a vac to get into the hard to reach places. Once clean, here is the little secret. Pick a nice windy day and remove all the pigeons. Put on a good dust mask, open every window and door, and use a leaf blower in the loft until all the dust has been blown out of the loft. The leaf blower will remove dust from the tops of beams, ceilings, nests, etc. The loft will be like new after this treatment. If you really want to finish the job, spray the entire clean and dust-free loft with Loft disinfectant. Your loft will be like new, and a successful season will follow.